Sent me a request. I sent her a request.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, did I forget to mention you need to be on a mobile device?
You did. Especially since I do everything on my laptop.
I'm very
Uh,
sorry.
it's okay.
If I don't F something up at least once a day, it's like no fun. And
You're fine.
technology still baffles me. Like
Yeah.
technology still still makes me like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's good things about it and then there's bad things about it. So, I mean, it's great, for especially for when you're in a business and you want to become more efficient. And then there's, then the other parts of technology, which I won't mention, but that I don't like. So let me get situated here. Okay. There
Now
we
that I
go.
make you get off your laptop. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Now I'm gonna balance my phone in between my laptop. Okay, there we go. And I'm hiding in the corner somewhere so you can see all my stuff.
How you been?
I'm good. I'm good. Last time I think I saw you was at the NRA show.
And I don't remember the last time I was at an NRA show. I was just talking to somebody else about I miss trade shows. I never thought I'd say that.
I think trade shows and shows in general are more of kind of like our gray area with our social time where we mix it with business. So I think the opportunity to see everyone and kind of catch up and, see what's new at the same time, it's business and pleasure together. It's great.
Yeah, especially like NRA, I get to go to Chicago and eat really well, and I get
Yeah.
to eat really badly too. Like I get to have my cheeseburger, you know, and no fries, only chips, and I get to eat it like upstairs at the Spotted Pig or the Purple Pig or whatever that is.
Oh man, I love the purple pig. It's I don't eat pork, but they have every other item on their menu I've had, and it's always been amazing. I think Jimmy Banos opened another one called Piggy Smalls. I haven't been there yet, but food is always amazing. So.
Yeah. Anyway, so how's biz? I don't know that we've talked. So if we saw each other at NRA show, it has to be at least 5 years.
It's got to be 5 years, close to 5 years, yeah.
And so Chocolates by Uzma was still kind of it's in its like infancy, figuring itself out stage. I think the last time we talked.
Well, I had my first shop. I opened in 2012, and my lease was only for 4 years. And when I opened that shop, I mean, I was really green, and I'm a chef by trade. I'm a cook. We think we have this fantastical idea of, yeah, I want to do my own thing, and I'm gonna, I'll run the shop and I'll make the stuff at the same time, and after 4 years, I was so exhausted and burned out that I let my lease kind of expire, and then you kind of get addicted, I guess. So I found another space after I rested for about 6 months, and I was like, let me try it again. Let me see how I can do this better.
Right.
And there's mistakes made every day, every week, but what I'm learning now by speaking to other folks and getting more mentored by business and finance people, it's a whole other ball game of what you're doing compared to just making the chocolate. And
Right.
I think that's one thing that the chefs lack is we're great at making the stuff, but we need to know the numbers, and a lot of us don't, and I was one of them. So one of my hobbies now for the past 2 years has been studying finance. I mean, I study everything from balance sheets to crypto.
Yeah, hobbies. I'm like working on finance. I try to spend
Yeah.
as little time looking at Excel spreadsheets as possible, and.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, or making the stuff. I'm in the kitchen at least 10 hours a day, I would say. Oh, there goes my phone.
Uh-oh.
So I
Sorry.
know the balance. There we go.
All right, cool.
So yeah.
Okay, so because we started the conversation like we know each other,
Yep.
for everybody that doesn't know you, you're in Chicago,
I'm in Chicago.
and
Yep.
the store is now.
So I'm located in the Pilsen part of Chicago, near the South Loop. So my chocolate shop is called Chocolat Uzma, Sharif, and it is exotic, handcrafted chocolates, confections that are inspired by my South Asian, I'm Pakistani, heritage. And I would say about 75 to 80% of my products contain some sort of influence from my culture. when I say heritage, I don't want to make it sound like it's 20 years back. I mean, I'm first generation American. I mean,
Right.
yeah, so I live it every day.
But you come with, I mean, you were joking about being a chef earlier, but you come with a culinary background, right? I mean, your grandfather, I think, was a chef, a pastry chef, right?
So my grandfather was a pastry chef in Pakistan. So he had bakeries and what they call canteens. They're like makeshift bakeries that he would set up because he was working for the Europeans that were there building infrastructure, railroads. I started cooking at probably 17, 18, so almost, 20 years ago. I started culinary school. The story is not some sort of fantastical story. It's actually
the reality of it is it's never fantastical and it's never a straight line. And I think that's kind of so I don't know if you know, I've been doing this thing for like now a year and a half, right? And so I've talked to like 60 different like chocolatiers and chefs and whatever.
Yeah.
And they're similar, but they're never a straight line. Like, so don't worry about that part of it. Like, I was just trying to build you up. Like, so.
So, I mean, honestly, I have to go back. It is in my blood. So I did grow up watching my mom bake at home. My mom was a single mom. She was an immigrant. She came to this country in the late 70s, and she had 2 kids. And she was a hustler. She had to work 3-4 jobs, and one thing that she always did was bake at home, and she always cooked. We never saw McDonald's or a cupcake until, I don't even know, I think I was in 8th or 9th grade, where, we started actually going out and buying cupcakes and things ourselves. She has 7 sisters, and the one thing I remember, because I do visit my homeland, is that everyone bakes. All of the girls, all 7 bake. And it's funny because my uncle had a chocolate shop for a few years in Sydney, Australia. He was a chemical engineer, so he happened to buy a franchise, so I thought that was kind of funny. So I just remember this pound cake being baked in black and white Urdu newspaper. It was like the coolest thing. And when I started on my journey, it was during high school. I had met someone. She was a French Haitian chef. And I remember the name of her business. It was called Deluxe Catering in Oak Park, Illinois. And I just needed a job. And she put me as a server, and I was horrible. Oh, my God. I could not go to these events. I think I almost set the banquet cloth on fire with that sterno with the flame because I tipped it over, and I was like, I didn't even know what to do. And these are wealthy people that you're serving at that, event. So then she put me in the kitchen, and I don't know if she gave up on me or what, but she put me in the kitchen, and I was fast. I'm really fast in the kitchen. And then I went to Oak Park Country Club for I don't know how long, but I worked under the table for $5 an hour. And he also said the same things, like, you're really fast. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And then everyone was trying to figure out what to do in high school for college, and I had never had any interest in basically going to school, let alone going to college. And
now finance is your hobby.
Finance is very interesting now. I'm into commodities, crypto. I am like, oh, wow. I just recently watched a documentary on the Bitcoin and all this stuff. So it's like, you got to know finance if you're going to have a business. See, that's what they don't teach you in culinary school.
Right. Yeah. You're right. I mean, I think that what's interesting, and we'll get back to it. So we're at the Oak Park Country Club. So we just put a bookmark in it. Yeah. I think my culinary instructors, you can do anything you want. You can do whatever you want. All you got to do is practice and work really hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you're right. I've never taken that step, but I've worked with people that have, and it's just like, you got to understand that that's a fixed expense.
Yeah.
It's not a variable expense. That matters, right? When you're trying to figure out your costing,
exactly.
It's
exactly.
$3. Well, why is it
Yeah,
$3? Because I said
exactly.
so. Oh, okay, cool. That's a good reason.
Yeah, true. I mean, I would give everything away for free if I could, or charge the most minimal amount, but you have to forecast, the cost of, especially right now, the cost of ingredients and the rising cost of, say, labor and the massive supply chain issues that are happening from A to Z in every aspect, from sea shipping to the cost of the cellophane bags. And you have to forecast that, a year out, 6 months to a year out if you can, because you don't want to raise prices on folks, like that. You need to plan it out a bit so they don't get shocked and, disappointed. So,
Right.
yeah, so basically Oak Park was cool, I did that for a while. And then when I had happened to take a trip to Dillon, Colorado with a friend of mine. I don't know how old I was, 18, 19. And I was like, wow. If you've never been to Summit County, Colorado, and you go from the city of Chicago, you're like, wow, this is majestic. This is therapeutic. This is, wow, the bluest skies. The best way I can describe the skies are like, in the Simpsons opening when the clouds clear. So blue. So I applied for culinary school, and I was like, let me check if Dillon has one, and they did. So I applied one, I got in, and I moved my ethnic city self to the very small town mountains of Summit County, Colorado, where there was no other Pakistani and no other, like, where do I get my food now? So I was like driving to Denver every weekend for the ethnic grocery store and for the food, but 3 years of amazing, getting my butt kicked. I was a savory, so I used to work on the line. So that's how I learned my speed. Saute, grill, garmager, getting locked in the walk-in coolers by the guys, and the usual stuff. I mean, but I've all those guys come out from Colorado to the NRA show, so it's kind of nice to see them and take them out and talk about the past. So
Why'd you do hot food and not pastry?
So I was never, I think, because I wasn't really introduced to pastry. As far as just my mom was cooking, it wasn't very, like, this is how things are done in pastry. It wasn't very scientific. It was just her making a cake. Food, I think, was my stepping stone with culinary school, and they didn't have a baking and pastry program.
Got it.
So I went into, I think 40% of it was wanting to go to school, and 60% of it was wanting to get out of Chicago. I live in Chicago. I've been here for, most of my life, but I am a very kind of a small town person. I like, some space in between the houses, kind of like stay over there. Like,
You mean as opposed to my apartment in Wicker Park, that like if I leaned out my window, I could touch. So I would have to get this far out the window, and I'm touching the building next door. You mean farther than that? That's not enough space between you and your neighbors?
Oh man, I don't know how people do it. It's I think as we get older, we kind of totally just want to be left alone, and like we want our space, and we just want to. I want to roll in a parking lot and find a parking space, and just kind of like get in the store and get out, have my space. So I've always been a small town person. I mean, there's a limit though. I'm not gonna move to a town that's like population 10,000. I can't. I don't know if I could handle that. So actually after 3 years, I think I had enough of Summit County. So I was like, I gotta get back to like the city or something. So I need to find the balance of how far I want to live from the city. So, but yeah, that was the starting point. And after that, my last year of savory, I was working at this restaurant called the Alpenglow Stube. I think it was a AAA 4-diamond.
German place?
It was kind of German. There was 2 parts to it. It was a ski in, ski out. We did a lot of different things there. And
generally, if it has house in the name.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you've got to figure there's like schnitzel somewhere on the
Yeah,
recipe.
there was definitely some schnitzel going on. There was definitely some, what do you call it, the raclette when they're doing their own fondue action. It was in that rotation because my culinary school is a bit different. It was 3 years. Every 6 months you rotated into a different kitchen. So you would do 6 months breakfast, 6 months saute, 6 months grill. We only had like 1 or 2 days of school a week. I finally realized that it was Vail Resort's way of getting cheap labor because we were just
And you
all working
paid
in
for
the
it.
kitchen. Exactly.
And you paid to do it.
Yeah, very true.
If anybody
We paid
wants
to
the
do it.
culinary school conspiracy theory, we could get into that, but we won't. We'll stay the course.
Yeah. So, the guy that I was learning under, I would ask him, like, why are you adding butter at this time? Why are you doing this? And he didn't have any answer except for because I felt like it. He had an attitude problem. It was then I got curious about pastry, and when I had to come back to Chicago because I had a baby brother. I don't know how old he was, maybe 8 or 9. So the crazy thing is my older brother and I, we kind of took turns leaving home. So when I came back from culinary school, he left for Spain for his medical training for like a year or two. So we had the little guy who's now in his 20s. And I found the French Pastry School. And I was like, oh, okay. This seems interesting. So this is when they first had that second edition class. They always had that, remember the morning class they always had? I think it was just 16 students, and they were growing. So I applied as a student as an intern to Jackie and Sebastian, which if you've ever met those two and gotten to see the real personalities, you're like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. So 6 months as a student and 6 months as an intern. And that really kind of honed my pastry skills and got me thinking more about the science behind pastry and, chocolate. And then that was a very long year of my life. And then after that, I just started working. I did some production, did some restaurants. I did the pastry chef gig at Wolfgang Puck. And then after a while, I think you're like, where do I go now? What do I want to do? And then you just kind of got to figure it out, I guess. So I started playing around with the idea of making chocolate.
But you'd never really, at that point, you hadn't spent, you'd done some chocolate. Obviously, there's places along the way, but chocolate wasn't really the goal. It wasn't the goal initially. How's that?
I don't know what the goal was, honestly. I don't know what the goal is today. I'm looking around. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm it's like. There's so much going on. As a business owner, you're like, oh my God.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, my goal was I wanted to be a restaurant pastry chef.
Really?
That was my goal. I wanted to do like a menu that had like 5 or 6 desserts, and that's all I wanted to do. And I wanted them to be mine. I wanted them to be seasonal, right?
I like that idea.
It didn't work out that way.
It doesn't because I guess fate had you going another way. You're with a great company, right, Tom?
Well, I think fate. Okay, so we were joking before about it's not a straight line, right? So your process wasn't a straight line. It's not like this correlation from this great pastry chef in Pakistan, grandfather, to owning my own business in Chicago, which you could draw a straight line to that.
It could go.
But it went all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a process of what do we experience, right? And what are we good at, right? Like if you've been a better server, we're not having this conversation, right?
Yeah, true.
If you hadn't set the table on fire, things probably are different.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, the Mandela effect, whatever. But the butterfly thing. But I think, my life changed when I worked for Laurent Lillier, right? I didn't want to be that restaurant pastry chef anymore. I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a hotel pastry chef either. Don't get me wrong. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't like what I wanted to do. But it was like, yeah, that's not my gig. Like
Yeah.
that's not where I want to be in 15, 20 years anymore. And I think that's good. I think that's okay too.
I think it's okay. I mean, I think that I worked in a lot of restaurants, and it's just the hours and the lifestyle is not a healthy environment. If you're an executive for pastry chef corporate, I mean, it's different, but you have to choose what kind of lifestyle you want. Not saying that having a business gives me a life that I truly want. However, it gives me so much more freedom. Create. I can create whatever I desire. Of course, the customer is my boss at the end if they like it. But I think I worked in France for a bit for Franck Kestener. So that was, I think, about 4 or 5 months I spent there. And I remember being at the chocolate show in the Salon du Chocolat in Paris. I forgot what year this was, but I took a piece of his peanut butter bonbon and I bit into it. And I still remember the feeling. My mouth exploded. It was the most delicious piece of chocolate that I've ever had in my life. And he is very underrated, that guy. He is, he's here with the creativity and his skills, and he's just so shy. He's such a shy guy that he doesn't throw himself out there on, social media, and et cetera. But wow. So I spent quite some time in his kitchen in Lorraine. And yeah, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I think this is what I want to do,
All right, so I'm going to bookmark that now. This is what I want to do. And you said something interesting about, he's a shy guy and he doesn't want to put himself out there. Has Instagram, now I say that we're on Instagram. Like, so it's like people that complain about Facebook on Facebook,
yeah.
Right? But fundamentally, has Instagram helped our industry or hurt our industry?
I mean, I think it's definitely helped where you kind of get the more behind the scenes, sometimes nitty gritty. If if you have those folks that post that, there are things that I think I'm learning by following some other pastry chefs on Instagram, where unless they had some sort of book or I was on their website and they had a video and I saw their technique, I wouldn't be able to see. So I think it's a little bit of education. If you use social media the right way, it's an educational tool, just like YouTube, if you use that the right way. But then there's the one thing I think I don't like about social media, and I'm not the one who posts on my social media. I have an intern that does it because I'm if you look through my Instagram, you'll very rarely see a picture of me. I like to stay behind the scenes. I don't like to put myself. So this actually is my first IG video. I do nothing on camera normally. If I get requested for Zoom, I just call in. I just phone it in.
I feel privileged.
Yeah, when I heard from you, I'm like, of course I'm gonna do that with Brian. That'll be so much fun.
And you're like, I agreed to go on camera for an hour.
Well,
what was I thinking about? Hey,
well,
there's one picture of you on your Instagram page. There's one.
Yeah, there's like one. But yeah, the OF moment was like, I can't use my laptop. I already set it up. I did the research on how to use IG. But no, this is
my apologies.
I think if you use it the right way, it's a great tool. And for marketing purposes, depending on what generation, we have the older generation customer that loves Facebook, so we have to post on Facebook. Then we have the, let's say, 24 to 34 that only looks at IG, so we post on there. And then we, newsletter marketing is still a thing, and it's still actually very, an influential tool to use. It's a very important tool to use, because I still look at emails here and there, So it just
every once in a while.
On what you look at. Once in a while, when I have 5 minutes in between, doing what we do every day, all day. So.
Yeah, I think it's funny because like I think Instagram, has definitely created some of the people that we follow, right? Some of the people that we see sort of leading the charge in chocolate or pastry or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
but it's also frustrating because for me, it doesn't give the whole picture,
True.
right? The way that look, the shiny happy picture of my wife and my daughter and I on Facebook doesn't give the whole picture of what's going on in our life, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that picture of the perfect bonbon,
Yeah.
right? That we've crafted this one bonbon and we've now like spent an hour getting the light right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that.
Isn't
I
necessarily
definitely agree with that.
indicative of the whole industry, right? Like I have, hold on, let's see if I can bring it up. Oh, it's my other phone. I carry two phones because I'm supposed to, but like I have a picture on my front page. It's this piece that I spent like 2 days on,
Yeah.
right? People look at it like, well, that's beautiful. I'm like, well, it better be. I spent like 15 hours on the friggin' thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They don't.
Where the
Yeah.
reality of it is in your business, you've got to crank. If you don't crank out 500 of that piece today,
Yeah.
you you're not. They're closing the doors, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think that's a great point. I think, I I think it's the individual, how do you say, user for Instagram. Some chefs, they only want you to see the narcissistic beauty of their craft that they're making. But you know what? It's 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 okay to show that you have feet all over your bonbons, or your capping of your molded bonbons is too thick. I don't care, as long as it tastes good. It's fine. That's I gotta say, one of a few things that I don't like about social media, is that the narcissists really come out to play on there. So
Yeah, it's this Venn diagram of like
yeah,
insecurity and narcissism. So,
yeah,
but my assistant was panning last week while I was gone, right? And she panned. They're actually coffee beans,
yeah.
but in that picture they look like potatoes.
They do look like Idaho rustic
Right, and
baked
so
potatoes.
so she puts on an Instagram, kind of making fun of it, and like they look exactly like potatoes, and it's like one of our most liked pictures that we put on our Instagram page and
Oh,
forever, and people are kind of like laughing at it and making and having fun with it, and
yeah,
like Beth got a little like bent out of shape about it, and I'm like, I appreciate that. Hey, they do look like potatoes, and that's kind of funny. Sorry
yeah,
that your tiramisu coffee beans look like potatoes. That sucks,
yeah,
but what are you going to do with it now? Because now you have a technique that looks like potatoes.
yeah,
But I think, yeah, we can get hung up in like really quickly about like what somebody's saying or
yeah,
like I find myself looking at other people's stuff and being like, wow, people love their stuff.
yeah,
Like people don't love their stuff like they love my stuff.
yeah,
And it's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like that's not indicative of the whole industry. Like
yeah.
it's not real in some ways.
That's very true. I mean, you can get caught up in the likes and the comments, but and if you're a super sensitive person and you don't know how to deal with criticism, it's hard for everyone to deal with criticism, and we deal with it in our different ways. If you get a Yelp review that you're not happy with, you can't take it to heart. This is just people that are that's their perception, that's their opinion. Just take it with a grain of salt, and hey, maybe you need to improve on something, or hey, maybe just keep going with what you're doing. Just keep your head down and just go.
Do you read all your Yelp reviews?
I very rarely log on to Yelp. I actually do not get embarrassed or offended anymore. I don't care. So you can say whatever you want. It's your reality, right? Not mine or anyone else's. So.
No, I think that's the hard part, right? I mean, as a culinary person too, like both of us spent time in kitchens. Like I think there's somewhere in there we've got to have a little bit of a thick skin because somebody was yelling at us in French at some point and they weren't saying nice things, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. Like Jackie and Sebastian can be really nice, fun guys away from the kitchen.
Oh my God.
But they're going to tell you when that's not up to the standard that they expect from you, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
like even if you're best friends, like if you guys are out having a beer, that's cool. But at 8:00 tomorrow morning, if your mise en place isn't set the right way, you're going to hear about it.
Oh, not even hear about it. You're dead. You better get it together because yeah, I spent that time with them doing all of that, and I think it gave me really good structure. I really appreciated that. I need structure. I like doing things a certain way, even though folks may not do it anymore, it may not be the in thing to do. I just like it. Like, you know, in here, in our kitchen, we all wear chef jackets. Oops.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
That's right. Well, it's my fault for not telling you you needed to be on
okay.
a mobile device. You should blame me. I'm good. You can blame me. I don't care.
I don't blame you. It's fine. I still can. You know what I did last night? I did research on how to log into IG Live with my laptop, and it was working. But then when I got your request, we didn't see it. So I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, you're sorry. You can't you can't go on IG Live.
Why don't they do that? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because you're supposed to be connected to this all the time.
Because it follows you around. Yeah.
This is like here's my take. Like, if you're really worried about the vaccine putting a tracker in your arm, stop carrying around your phone.
I 1,000% agree with you, Brian. And you know what? If I could throw this damn phone in the alley right now, I would. But it's used very minimal, I gotta say. I never keep it with me when I'm working. It's always on my tiny little desk away from the kitchen, and I check it randomly. But you know, here, what I was saying before, here in the kitchen, all of us wear like chef jackets. You know, it can be whatever color, whatever, short sleeve, long sleeve. I don't force hats or anything like that. And they can wear jeans or whatever. But I think it just looks so clean and modern and classy, you know. And when I go into other kitchens, if I see T-shirts, or I feel that it doesn't look, how do you say, as kept or clean. So that's some of the, you know, one of the things I took away from, I think, Jackie and Sebastian. One of the, you know, many things I took away from them.
One of the wee little things you took from Jackie, and tiny. Yeah. No, but I mean, I think you and I both have worked with people like that, right? You've dropped a couple names, Uzma, just so you know.
Okay.
Anyway, like, and I can drop names. I do it too. People make fun of me, like you know, you drop 3 names in that conversation about people you've worked with or worked around. It's just like, but I think I do it because, at least my reasoning for doing it is that, like the opportunity to work with a U.S. champion, or to work with the best sugar showpiece in the world, the Coupe de Monde chef who I've worked with, or like, there's more than picking up a recipe or a technique. It's about a mindset, about how do you get into working, and how do you treat the work, right? Like, and the people around me are tired of hearing this quote, but like, I work with Anil Rohira, you know.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, great guy, unbelievable chef. Like,
South Asian, one of us.
In India,
Which
well,
is
one of
rare.
you, one of us. I mean,
I mean us as in me.
Right, I get it. I'm kind of like, no, Anil. I think Anil would kind of add me as an honorary Indian sometimes. But anyway, you know. So anyway, like, I've been with Anil like a week, and like, he's got me tempering every day. Right, I've got chocolate all over my coat, and he kind of comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you got a bit of chocolate on the coat." And I'm like, yeah, chef, I'm working with chocolate. And he looks at me, and he doesn't tell me to put on a new coat. He doesn't yell. He doesn't huff. He looks at me very calmly and goes, "Brian, is it the chocolate that's messy or the chocolatier that's messy?" Oh. And it was like one of those, like, oh, F. Like, yeah. So, you know, I scamper to my cubicle, and I put a new coat on, and like, but I think that's like those lessons, I think chef coats in the kitchen, whatever it is, right? Like I'm with you. Like, there's some things about our team that we're comfortable. You know, I'm wearing the Cubs hat that looks like it was under my bed for a week. But I think the way, but you know, I work for a company where I need to have a Atomic logo on. Like, I can wear something different today. I was doing a demo today, but I still have chef pants on, right? Because that's important to me, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's about that kempt conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you feel yourself when you work in those clothes. You're more efficient, you're fast, you're in that mode, you know. As soon as I put my jeans on, I'm like, I stop thinking, it turns off and I'm done, right. You know. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I dropped names with you, but if you, yeah, I never really drop names. I don't care. If you like my stuff, you like my stuff. It doesn't matter where I went, what I did. We work hard every day and to make everything perfect. Right now, I have someone mentoring me. I think in the kitchen because I've been out of the game so long with what's new, what's the different chocolates, they're changing the recipes left and right, and, I'm having problems with one brand, and now I got to switch to another brand. And there's someone that I know who is extremely talented in chocolate and pastry, and he's agreed to kind of mentor me here and there, and it's been eye-opening. It's what's changed over, say, the last 20 years. So.
Yeah. Hey, let's do this. Let's talk chocolate for a minute, because that's what it's called, Chocolatier Chat. So
hold on, you're cutting out a bit. Let me.
Uh-oh. I think it's you. Definitely you. Uh-oh. I can hear you.
Okay, now you're better. Before it was a little, you sounded like the Grim Reaper.
There's a line there. So let's talk chocolate. So
good.
You talked about, Asian influences.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was part of the mindset too with this business, right? I mean, that you really wanted to do stuff like that.
Well, it's interesting, growing up first generation American, even in a big city like Chicago, there are a lot of things that reminded me of home that I wanted, but you can't find here. And there's a lot of ingredients that we have in sweets, but that are not incorporated in chocolate that I thought would be interesting to play around with and kind of meet that niche. So basically, if you create a business and there's 10 of the same businesses, what's going to make you stand out? What's your niche? And my powerful, colorful, I would say, heritage was naturally my niche to create the bonbons and the truffles and the chocolates, even the design of the shop, the color of our boxes. You see our turmeric yellow. Turmeric itself is it's an ingredient that's revered in our culture, and we dedicate a whole day to it when we get married. It's called a mendi. So when I started creating the second round, I would say, of the business, I really wanted my natural love to kind of like show through, and that way I don't get confused. I'm just, it's all about the Asian and the South Asian stuff, and the other stuff too, other ingredients as well.
What's something that didn't work? Like you had a flavor, like this is great. It's in a sweet that I'm used to, and like when it went in chocolate, you're like, ooh, what was I thinking?
Oh man, what did I make? This was not too long ago. I was playing around with, there's an ingredient called black seed, and it's medicinal, it's prophetic. It was used in the days of the prophets. And I was playing around with that for a long time. It just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work with chocolate. It's just so bitter and oily. But it's such an amazing Ayurvedic type of medicine or ingredients that we eat on a daily basis or weekly basis, I should say. So that was one thing that didn't work on the chocolate side, but I'll keep trying.
What's your favorite piece in the case right now?
My favorite piece, I have to say, is the there's one that I made called honey cumin. So cumin seed, it's in English is cumin, and Urdu it's zira or jira, some people say. That is a very savory ingredient. It's never used in sweets, very rarely if so. That was a challenge, and I figured out how to work with that ingredient, and that's one of my favorites. The most popular ones are I think I would say the caramel that we make. So I make a salted caramel, but I make the caramel a little different. I make it using a Himalayan black salt, and it really changes the whole way you look at something that's salty. I also use another secret ingredient in there that really brings out the sulfur and the salt, which I'm not going to share, but it's
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, the other folks that are on here, So that's that's, I think the honey cumin is one of my favorites. So they're all my favorites, though, right? Like our kids, right? They're all our favorite.
I only have one kid, so it's easy. And she's not always my favorite.
Oh,
for the record.
I mean,
that's so mean.
Yeah, I know. That's mean. That's okay. It'll make her tougher.
Yeah, I know. That's what I tell her. Keep telling her. She doesn't believe me. So who's in Chicago? Who's doing stuff that you like these days? Are you allowed to say?
There's not that many chocolate or confection folks. And I think as far as pastries go, there's a few places that I've had. I had dinner at Ever not too long ago. I forgot the name of Curtis Duffy's pastry chef, but his stuff is really good. Honestly, it's a small mom and pop shops that I like to go to and support. Believe it or not, Princey's actually makes a really good croissant. I've asked a lot of French guys. I'm like, what do you think about the croissant at Princey's? In Starbucks. They're like, it's really good. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah. So, there's some other smaller people that are up and coming. A few new pastry shops here and there. There's Florial, I think, on the north side that does good stuff. Unfortunately, I am not by choice, but I have to be gluten-free. And so it hinders my ability to go around eating everyone's stuff. So, yeah.
Not a lot of croissants.
Yeah, and when I ask them, they just stare at me. They're like, no, we can't make a gluten-free croissant, lady. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So, yeah. But right. There's a lot of, if you venture out of the city a little bit, there's a few more smaller places. Like there's a great ice cream place on Morton Grove called Capanari's Ice Cream. Yeah, so.
All right, so now that you've plugged all these other places, you get an opportunity to plug your own place.
Yeah.
So I know Instagram, Facebook, website. Can you order by mail? Anything you want to say? It's up to you. Yeah. This is your little spot to plug your gig.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So we are a retail store. We're open 6 days a week. So you can come in and you can see us all working. We're located in the Pilsen neighborhood of Chicago on Halsted and 19th Street. So, yeah, you can order online, and we ship USPS and UPS. You can come in and shop, or you can, definitely check out what we're doing that's new and seasonal on Instagram and Facebook. So all the handles are the same. It's going to be at Chocolat Uzma.
You did that really well for somebody that doesn't like the whole being the face thing on. That was right on point.
Yeah. I'm so used to public speaking now that, all my phone calls that I make instead of Zoom, I just kind of go into this natural type of automatic speech about everything. So I go subconscious.
All right. I didn't respond to your last email, which was how long does this thing go?
Yeah.
And the answer is less than an hour because that's how long Instagram gives us. So we're getting close to 50 minutes. Okay. So I don't want to keep you all day because it's a weekend and I'm sure you got tons of stuff to do and all that jazz.
Work.
So
it's all work.
And so now you got to be in the kitchen 11 hours today, not the 10 that you normally work. So I asked this question to everybody.
Okay.
So you swing by Dominic's on your way home to pick up.
There's no Dominic's anymore. That's put the kibosh on Dominic's. It's Jewel now. Jewel. It's just Jewel.
What happened to Dominic's? Jewel bought Dominic's?
No, apparently. So I'm pretty sure this is true, but you're going to have to look it up. So apparently Dominic's just got killed by Mariano's, who was created by Bob Mariano, who used to work for Dominic's. Dominic's pissed him off, so he started opening Mariano's on every corner next to Dominic's. Dominic's closed, and now we have Mariano's and Jewel. Mariano's is now bought by Kroger.
Okay, so you're on your way home. You
Uh-huh.
swing into Mariano's to pick up some carrots and like, I don't know, some kale juice or something. Because
What the? Okay.
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
a six pack of beer and like
Okay.
a bag of corn chips.
Okay.
Because you're
Yeah.
gluten-free.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So you're tootling up and you're in the checkout aisle and the mass market candy is all right there. And
Yeah.
I know you're going to tell me I don't eat mass market candy because that's what
I
everybody
do.
tells me.
No,
okay,
I
cool.
do. I do.
What you can get one item from that display
Yeah.
in checkout aisle. What do you buy?
Anything that has to do with Sour Patch Kids or Twizzlers. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
All right.
And you? What about you?
Kit Kat.
Really?
Oh yeah, Kit Kat.
You know, I want to try the Japanese Kit Kat. They make the matcha and that. Oh man, they're
Yeah.
so good.
So around here, I'm known that I like. First of all, anytime I go across the border to Canada, I buy Kit Kat bars because they're better in Canada.
Yeah.
Well, it's Nestle still makes them in Canada, not Hershey, but I won't get into that.
Yeah.
But everybody around here knows like I have a Kit Kat bar problem. So when anybody ever travels anywhere in the world, they bring me home Kit Kats.
Nice.
And so Tim, our owner, was in Tokyo 4 years ago and goes to the Kit Kat store, right, which is like, it's like the Starbucks on Michigan Avenue, right?
Oh,
it's that,
man.
like 3 stories of like Kit Kat heaven. And he brings me a bag of Kit Kats. I kid you not, it had to be like 10 million yen of Kit Kats, right?
Wow.
Like, and he's like, you're going to need to like write a report on these or something to justify the business expense. I'm like, okay.
Done.
All right. So I'm like eating like red bean paste Kit Kats and like matcha Kit, and not just like one type of matcha Kit Kat, like 8 different types of matcha Kit Kats.
Wow.
Like this is this type of matcha and this is this type of matcha. I'm just like, it's all green tea to me.
I mean, I've been to Japan. It's one of my favorite countries. I absolutely love the people, the food, the culture. That's so cool. I'm so jealous of your Kit Kat experience.
It was, and then there's like Kit Kats that you're like supposed to put in the broiler, like seriously, like it has directions on the back, like put in the toaster oven like you'd cook your eel at the sushi restaurant. Okay, cool.
Like, sure.
All right, I'll try it.
Yeah.
As I melted the cake, like it didn't caramelize at all, and it melted onto the pan. I was like,
nice.
damn it.
You didn't do it right, Brian.
Chef Brian. I know. What else is new? So what's next? I mean, so what's next for you, business? What's on the horizon?
Well, so I don't know if you mentioned Starbucks on Michigan Avenue. We are partnered with them.
I know, and that's the last. So the last time I was in Chicago, we had a meeting.
You didn't stop by?
Honestly, no, wait a minute. I flew in the morning. I got the worst cab driver in the world who I think took me to like Oak Park because okay, so all right, so for those of you from Chicago, you'll appreciate this story. So he's following the directions on his GPS, and I see him get on Lower Wacker Drive, and I'm like, hey, do you know where you're going? And he's like, yeah, I'm following directions. I'm like, your GPS is about to go out, and you are not going to know where you're going anymore. And he's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. So he misses the turn, right, to stay in the loop and to get up and across the river, right? And I'm like, all right, we're going to Naperville now. Like, there's no way you're getting back for this.
Yeah.
Right? By the time we were done, we were pretty much back at Midway, right? And I'm like, can I help? Okay, I've lived here. Would you mind if I help? First of all, we're not going to get on Lower Wacker Drive this time.
Well, you got a tour of the city via
I did.
highway. Yeah.
Right. So I get that ride. We have a meeting at the academy, and then we went to the Starbucks, and then we went back to the airport. So next time I'm in Chicago, I will definitely stop by.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a lot of questions. As going back to your earlier question, is that what we're doing? We're growing. Knock on the wood table I'm sitting on, and I am basically trying to figure out how to scale for growth. Hence my mentor and the excitement of people actually, wanting to support us and grow with us and, and it just makes my creativity go even crazier, with the flavors. I'm working on a fennel and rose one right now, and just to see that people are appreciative of my creative Asian flavors and the hard work that we do every single day. I love it. Thank you to
Very
everyone.
cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool to see your big display in the lobby. Like the first thing I saw when I walked into that Starbucks.
Thanks. That was a pop-up we did for 3 months. So they are great to work with and very lovely people, and they really are supporting us in every way they can, which is great.
Cool.
I love it. Yep. So thanks for having me. It's nice
You're
to see
welcome.
your face.
Good
Hopefully
to see you
I'll
as
see
well.
you in person.
I'm trying to think when I'm going to be in Chicago.
I'll keep some Kit Kats in the freezer.
Okay.
I'll make some. A little bit of my own Asian ingredients. A little honey cumin Kit Kat action.
I'm excited. Actually, I'm sort of intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by the caramel. So there you go.
Yeah, it's really good. You got to come by and try it. Good.
I will. I mean, now that I wouldn't have ventured into your neighborhood when I lived in Chicago, but now it's like all the rage.
It is all the rage. It is. That's what happens, So it's and we're not too far from Midway. So next time you're in town, let me know. And I would love to show you what I'm doing and what I want to do and get your advice.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Uzma, thank you.
You're welcome, Brian.
Have a fabulous afternoon. Good luck. Don't count this as work time. Don't stay 11 hours today.
No, I won't.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week.